Big Dash knows what?
Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. Today's video, I want to talk about the draft. I want to talk about positions of need and how those things come together. So, obviously, I've been doing a lot of mock drafts. I post more mock drafts on like my Twitter, on Instagram and things like that. And then I record some mock drafts for YouTube. And again, I love the feedback in some of these mock drafts, and a lot of times I get a lot of the comments, critiques when I'm doing the draft. It's like, why didn't you get the wide receiver at pick 25? What are you doing picking a D tackle at pick 25? And first thing I would say to that is, the simulator is the simulator. The positions that are there, and it's all about the value, especially when it comes to that first round. And also, I like to think about free agency, how that plays a part in the draft. You figure you fill positions of need in free agency, and when it comes to the draft, in the perfect world, you want to draft the best player available. You know what I mean? You don't want to cloud your judgment, forcing people into certain positions. I understand sometimes positional value meets need, and you can hit it out of the park. But again, that's what I think about when we do these mock drafts and simulators. But I wanted to talk about not just doing a mock draft, just some of the players that I see in this draft that I do, or that I want for the New York Giants, that I think will fit the scheme, and could possibly be building blocks, foundational blocks, for the New York Giants. And I just want to talk about a few different people. So, and I'll keep it in draft order, like you're saying, as much draft order as I can remember off the top of my head. But of course, at pick 25, I think about the most pressing position of need, but then I also think about the best player available. And when you do these mock simulators, they're all over the place. But for me, I think with the talent that's in this first round, I like the cornerbacks. I like the talent of the cornerbacks. And if you can get one of those top 4 guys at 25, I think that's where I would go first. Right after that, I think about the wide receivers. After that, I think about interior linemen. And then after that, I'm thinking about linebacker. So just some names that I would say for the cornerbacks. If Joey Porter falls, that's a pick at 25. If Dante Banks falls, that's a pick at 25 for me. If Cam Smith is there, which I think he will be there, that's a guy that I like as well. But Cam Smith is a little bit further back than Joey Porter and Deontay Banks. Now, when it comes to the defensive line, a lot of people say defensive line is not a position of need. We have Dexter Lawrence, we have Leonard Williams, But what do we have after that? We have DJ Davison. That's what we have after that. So if one of those high defensive linemen fall, Breesy, depending on how you view Van Ness, those guys are no-brainers to me too. Because eventually we're going to have to replace Leonard Williams. He might give you 2 more years, but still, you have to have that replacement for Leonard Williams. And also, you have to have a guy in the building that can spare both of those guys, Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, when they're tired. Because you saw what happened last year, especially after Nick Williams went out. Justin Ellis wasn't it. DJ Davison, before he got hurt, had some quality snaps. But just think about this line position, this D-line. And it's all Dexter Lawrence, it's all Leonard Williams, and there's no depth behind that. So that's my reasoning for picking a defensive lineman at 25 if one happens to fall, and if you happen to see that in my mocks. After that, we're talking about the wide receivers. And there's only a few wide receivers with a first round grade on them. Obviously, Quentin Johnston is on the top of a lot of people's list. Jackson Smith-Njigba, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. Let me know if I'm forgetting anybody, but I think those are the main 4 there. And I would take, well, for me, just for transparency, I think Jordan Addison will be the best wide receiver out of this bunch, out of this group. Some people to say Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm not going to argue with you. You know, that's a preference. I do see the quality in JSN, and I understand why people would say that. Now, when it comes to Zay Flowers is explosive. Zay Flowers, if he was a little bit taller, probably would be ranked higher than, you know, all these other guys, you know, that are receivers coming out this year. But again, he's not. Just under 5'10". A good comparison that I saw for Zay Flowers was Tyler Lockett, and I can absolutely see that. And the only thing about Zay Flowers is, can his skill set transition to the NFL, which I think he can, because he's elusive, great route runner, can get separation quickly. And you know what? That's what the New York Giants need. But I feel like Jordan Addison can do that same thing. Maybe not as quickly as Zay Flowers, but for me, Jordan Addison, you know, is that guy. Now, another position when I'm thinking about in that first round is also linebacker, but the linebackers seem to have fallen quite a bit, and even guys like Trenton Simpson, Jack Campbell, these guys have fallen out of the first round in a lot of these simulators and a lot of these draft grades. But again, I'm not mad at Trenton Simpson. I'm not mad at Jack Campbell. Trenton Simpson, to me, has a higher ceiling than Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's just great all the way around. Trenton Simpson can be a spectacular player if everything comes into place. Again, one of the knocks on Trenton Simpson is his size. I was happy at the combine that he did weigh in at about 240. Still ran a 4.40. And yeah, Trenton Simpson, to me, tall guy too, because you know that Wink Martindale likes a tall linebacker. You can send him in on blitz, but he has good awareness. Just because people think he's light, he still will bring the lumber when he's, you know, and he's a willing tackler. And, you know, you need your linebacker to do that. Another linebacker is Drew Sanders. Drew Sanders has fallen a little bit too. He gets a little bit of flack because of his size and him being a tweener. You know, they had him at edge in Alabama, and then they had him at middle linebacker in Arkansas, and he can succeed in both roles. I like him too. Another linebacker, Dorian Williams, a guy that you could probably get a little bit later out of Tulane. Owen Papo was another linebacker. So when I'm doing these mock drafts, I'm thinking about these players. But when you're dealing with that simulator, it's just a little bit different. But again, this video is about some of the guys that I like, that I think could play for the New York Giants. Now, interior linemen. A big need for the New York Giants, especially at the center position. Everybody knows that John Michael Schmitz is probably the top center in this draft. You got a guy that has played center his whole life, no other positions. When he got to Minnesota, he was a center for 4 seasons. And after that, you have Whippler out of Ohio State, and then you have Oluwatimi in Michigan. And to me, Whippler and Oluwatimi, you can interchange those guys. Both of those guys, to me, will be your starting center. Well, all 3 of these guys will be your starting center for the next 10 years. So you can't go wrong with any of these guys and anywhere that you pick them. Because just think about it. When we look at these mock drafts, and you know, we think about positional value all the time. And shout out to Coach Ed, because he says it a lot. He said, I understand where people have these guys ranked, but when you have an evaluation and you know that this guy is going to be a starter for years to come, it doesn't matter where you pick him. It doesn't matter where you pick him. And I'm thinking about at pick 25, of course, John Michael Schmitz. If you pick John Michael Schmitz at 25, nobody's going to bat an eye. I don't believe so. Maybe a little bit of pushback. But I'm just thinking about that second round pick at 57. If you take a Whippler, if you take a Oluwatimi at 57, or even at 89, I'm happy with those picks. I'm happy because one of the main issues, and I said this in a tweet, I said, you know, if you pick certain players and it feels like a reach, everybody's going to be upset until September, until we're actually on the field and these guys are performing, and you realize that if it's the center spot that you picked, Daniel Jones is not getting that pressure up the middle. He's getting that extra time to find that new wide receiver or whatever. And at that point in time, nobody cares where you picked them. These guys are solidified players that I think are going to be, you know, starters for years to come when it gets to the NFL. So, again, just thinking about these different picks that we have, and now we saw the change with the official draft pick that we did have 2 6th-round picks that got bumped up. Now we have 2 5th-round picks instead. So we have pick 161 and I believe 172. And when you're doing your mock draft, and they haven't updated it yet in PFF, but there's some players in that range, because prior to that new official draft order, we were picking at 162, and then we weren't picking again all the way until 208. So now we're picking 10 spots right after that, and just think about all those quality players. So instead of waiting 40 50 picks, we're picking 10. We get our pick 10 spots after that 162 spot. So again, I think this draft is going to be very, very important as far as the future of the New York Giants. Another class where we have 11 picks. Do we end up using all 11 picks, or are we going to use some picks to package and move up? Possibly so. But again, you're looking at a lot of draft picks, a lot of value, 4 picks in the top 100, and we have to hit. It's important that we hit on these draft picks, and it's important that the draft class from last year develops. We had a lot of injuries, a lot of guys sat out, and we have to make sure that we're doing the right things, picking the right players, and developing these guys to be players for years to come, in order to keep the cap healthy, in order to find replacements for high paying guys. Because you can't re-sign everybody. As Giants fans, you always want to hold on to people. I'm guilty of it. You always want to hold on to your players. One of the things people say is we value our players a lot higher than other teams might. But we got some guys coming up, and I don't know if we're going to be able to sign all of them. Obviously, Andrew Thomas is a no-brainer. Dexter Lawrence is a no-brainer. But I'm just looking at some of these other guys in the near future. Aziz, Xavier McKinney, guys that have to fit this price tag, unless Xavier McKinney just has a outstanding season. It was cut short this year. But it's just a lot of guys out there that we need to focus on. And this draft is very, very important. Or the drafts altogether are very, very important in keeping this team moving in the right direction, keeping the cap healthy, and things like that. So just want to do a quick video, talk about my ideas about the draft, some of the players that I'm looking at, some of the guys I think that are fits for the New York Giants. I might do a part 2 for some of the later rounds, but just wanted to get this out because I get a lot of questions on why I pick certain players. And again, it's about the simulator. It's about the value for the pick, reaching, and then those grades at the end of the day. But I just want to give you guys some of the players that I think will be great Giants, in this draft class. So I want to thank you guys for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.